So I'm going to be showing how to incorporate the triangle footwork step that we use for combatives into switching stances. So if you're going whatever, southpaw, orthodox, being able to switch into the other one in transition, whether that's through like a straight and you're stepping into it, or you're just simply wanting to do it on the move, yeah, I'll be showing how to do that. Okay, so for you guys who don't know, the triangle footwork is just like a simple drill to help you keep agile on the move when you're moving with the combatives, or just in boxing, kickboxing, whatever you want to do. There's going to be male, female side of the triangle, so male like this, female like this. You can incorporate it into a diamond and use that for the full range of footwork, but today we're just going to be doing just the male side of the triangle, so that's the upward facing one. All right, so basically there's going to be 3 points of the triangle. There's your lead foot, whichever foot you're going to be leading on. I'm orthodox right now. This is the top of the triangle. This is the back half of the triangle. And then the other back half would be back here. So there's 3 points, 1, 2, 3, right? You're in orthodox stance, you're taking up 2 points of the triangle. In order to transition so that you're taking up these 2 points as opposed to these 2 points, you're going to come forward, and then as this foot comes down, transition back. The sort of dummy mode, which Jake has talked about, is where you come forth, put both feet together, step back into that. But we're going to do a little more athletic, a little bit more fluid. So come forward and just switch like that, right? Just switching back and forth. You're never allowing yourself to be fully squared on to the opponent ahead of you. You're always just going to be keeping it in a nice pace, right? We just talked about how if you're in orthodox stance right here, you're taking up these 2 parts of the triangle. To switch, you're simply shifting your weight as this leg comes down on the front, you transfer to the back. So if I'm switching, boom, it's nice and quick. I'm never head on, which presents a wider target. Right here, orthodox stance, hands up, transition, right? Now I'm in the other stance. I'm not having to like bring myself back or do anything that'll put you in a disadvantageous position for your opponent. You always remain, right? So you're nice and agile, you're nice and moving. You can move around whichever way you want. Boom. Other stance. Other stance. I'm still moving. I'm still agile, I'm still quick on my feet. Boom. There's almost no like rest in between. There's no like pause. There's no stopping at all. You're just moving from stance to other stance. Now the back part of the triangle would be these 2 points where you are head on. This is going to be simply practice. Obviously, when you're fighting, you don't ever want to be just squared up with your dude. You're like twice as wide of a target, and you don't want that. So when you're side on, we're going to be working this for the drill. You're coming up, switching, coming back. You're almost touching your heel to your calf and you're coming across, then stepping up. You're never just boom, coming back and dragging in a straight line across. You're always going to be doing this, bring it up, bring the foot back across, straight up. So you're keeping your feet in a triangle. It's very important to always keep moving on this, and as the switch happens on the back half of the triangle, that you're allowing it to be swift, so you're not letting yourself just stand there. You're not doing the old, that's like the dummy version right there, which you can actually do to help figure it out if you're having trouble with this. But instead, we're going to keep it nice and fluid. You're bouncing back and forth. And you're able to switch seamlessly from stance to stance. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to throw some examples up when you may actually need to use this when you're switch stancing, even if you want to step through. And what I mean by that, stepping through, right? So let's say you're southpaw stance, right? Let's say you're an orthodox, switch to southpaw. You're here. When you throw, let's say you're throwing a jab, you're throwing a straight. Instead of re-chambering straight back into your stance, what you're going to do is imagine this is the front half of the triangle, right? You're in the top left half of the triangle. When you're throwing that rear, you're going to step through with it. So now if you can see my feet, you're in left half of the triangle, throw this through, you're in right half of the triangle. You switch stances, all while masking it behind a punch that you threw. So you're not just doing it blind where you're stepping forward. You're not doing it where you're staying in place. You're masking it behind a punch, right? So I'm right here, throwing through. I'm right to my orthodox stance. this can go really well. One of my favorite just combos, whatever. Switch to southpaw, right? You throw that through, step back, come in with a hook. That's allowing you to throw a lead counter hook from starting from the southpaw stance, switching to orthodox, which messes them up, and then you're able to throw that counter hook after throwing the straight that sets you through. So one more time. We're right here, we're southpaw, jab, jab, throw the straight, come through, or the counter hook. I'm going to show that sequence again one more time, and that is the starting from southpaw. Even if you're not a southpaw, you want to still be comfortable in both stances so that you can mix them up with the footwork, and this triangle drill with the easy stance swaps really allow you to be fluid with that, so you can constantly switch back and forth and keep them confused, right? So even if you're orthodox, right? Orthodox stance, switching to southpaw, coming in a southpaw, whatever, masking it up with a jab, and then when you throw the straight, you're gonna step through, come back, hook. So fluid and fast. We want that. Southpaw jab. Like that. Southpaw, jab straight through, hook. So one more time, straight on. I'm right here. Southpaw, throw a jab, throw a straight, come through, throw the hook. It's a very fluid motion when you jab, step through. I'm throwing all my power as my foot is hitting the ground, right? So I'm stepping through, and then you sort of allow the momentum here to come, drop, shuffle backwards as you throw that. This is also why it's important to be good at getting in and out with your footwork, hopping in, hopping out, side to side, pivoting, whatever. This triangle drill is really good for that because you're constantly having to bounce back and forward. And right there, right after I threw the straight, you're going to want to be able to bounce back very, very quickly, which is a quick shuffle step backwards into throwing that left hook. And this is just a drill that you can be working on even just while you're shadow boxing. Instead of just standing in a static place and throwing punches, you can be adding in, keep your feet moving, always be moving back and forth. If you're slow and you're plodding, it's very obvious to see what's happening. But when you're constantly moving, the kinetic energy of you moving back and forth, it's so much easier to throw out punches snappier and without people being able to see it because you're already moving. My hands are already moving. So if I'm throwing a punch, it's just part of the movement. I'm just extending a little bit more so that I can hit you. So when you're shadow boxing, you're moving back and forth. Right? And this will allow you, this will get your muscles and your legs, your coordination good so that you can move forward while keeping that same stance. You're not running at them like some retard. You're bouncing, shuffling forward. That's how you can get a jab in on someone really, really easily. I'll do another video on the double step, double jab, whatever. But it's very, very easy to be out of someone's range, keeping what range you want, and then throwing that jab or the double jab to get inside. And that'll also help with when you're southpaw and you step that through and then you're coming back. I'm not stepping backwards and then throwing the hook. I'm simply stepping back, shuffling back, and throwing the hook. So I'm forward, I'm inside the range. Let's say he just throws, I throw the straight through, then I come back. I'm in my stance still, even if I totally miss and he's out of the way, guess what? I'm still ready. So we went over the triangle drill, and how it's beneficial to footwork, stance swapping and such, giving your opponent not a stationary object so you can be moving back and forth, stance swapping, even if it's just to confuse. I don't even really like throwing from southpaw stance. Maybe I like throwing like a left straight from southpaw stance. But to be able to be here boxing and to be able to move, that confuses the opponent, that sets him off. He's like, oh shit, he's about to throw something. Or even just it's giving him like a different perspective that they could not be ready for. So when you're constantly moving back and forth, and you're using that, the triangle step, using those 3 points, I'm sorry, to be moving back and forth, to swapping your stances. Here you're moving. triangle, angles. It allows you to move in quicker, move out quicker. It gives you a structured sense of stance swapping, how to move in, how to move out. It's not just chaotic footwork where you're just stepping wherever the fuck you want to step. Instead, you have a specific amount of points that gives order to your footwork, and that will be really beneficial. That'll give you sort of guidelines to stay in. I'm never crossing over myself. I'm never stepping over myself. I'm always keeping it where my feet are always going to be on one of these 3 points, right? Always those 3. And I also showed just the basic counter, where if you're in the opposite stance, you can use the triangle step where you're keeping on the 2 points to throw the straight as you come up in to the other stance, which you can see. And then as the person counters, pulls back, whatever, you're going to shuffle back and throw that left hook, throw the lead hook. Especially if you got a good left hook, you start out in southpaw stance. The guy doesn't know it's a danger to him at all, because you're not throwing that lead hook at him. But then you come through with that, boom, counter with that left hook. And like I was saying before, that how if the dude's good, he's going to be in orthodox stance. When you throw that straight, he's probably going to come back and throw a left hook of his own. But as you guys know, like, the most painful, the most damaging shots are the ones you don't see. And if he thinks, oh, he's just fucking throwing this wild straight at me, well, he won't even know it hit him. But instead, you're throwing that straight, coming back with your own hook. He won't see it coming. It'll be a check hook. They could land at the same time, but if you're fast, it'll land before he does, and you'll fucking knock him out.